Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Friday edition of Today in Sports Betting. TGIF, Scotty. It's Scott Reichel, everybody. What's going on, bud?
Nothing much. By the way, Devin Booker, really, really, really good at basketball.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
People are going to talk about the lower performance being the performance of the playoffs, but I'd say this is probably the performance in a win. You're going to go for 47 and 11.
Can we talk about the defense? I don't care about Booker. Let's talk about the defense. If you're not going to score 100 points, I guess they're going to get barely over 100 because they give them the free throws with the technical there or whatever. But this is what the Lakers, you're not going to win scoring a buck, whatever.
I'm going to give them a bit of a pass because we've looked at their numbers without AD. AD was a shell of himself, played 5 minutes, really had no stats. So you knew the Lakers without AD were terrible.
Yep.
I can't say I'm surprised with what happened. Are you?
Spoiler alert, they're not that good with him.
That's a separate point.
They were good early in the season. They didn't recapture the magic, buddy. They never found the switch.
Well, you can argue that with AD being healthy, it was a 2-2 series.
And how many points did they score? What did they top out at?
What was it, 109 we talked about?
109.
I'm just saying, when you say that they weren't very good with the two of them, I'm saying it was tied 2-2 in the series before he got injured.
Yeah, okay.
Then again, you can make the argument, well, what happens if Chris Paul was healthy the entire time? But
touché. Well, now we're running out of basketball, buddy. All these series ended at 6 games.
We're not running out of basketball. We're running out of first-round basketball.
No, that's not necessarily horrible news, but means we just have one game for tonight, man. One game. Clippers, Mavs. Let's get to it. Let's give the people a break. Let's grip it and rip it, my friend. This game opened up as the Clippers as the road team as a 3-point favorite because, of course. And 216.5 is where your total opened, and that is where your total sits right now across the board. Scott, Mavericks at home, up 3-2, getting points. Yeah, maybe. What do you think?
In a bizarro world where home court usually matters, the road team is 5-0. So I don't really know what the story is. Maybe the fans aren't yelling hard enough or loud enough, but it seems like both teams just don't really care about winning in their home gym.
It's very bizarre as the Mavericks started the series with 2 wins in L.A., and L.A. returned the favor, came back to Big D, and ended up taking 2 from the Mavs. And, of course, the Mavs went back to L.A., took another game. So you're right. It's the bizarro world zigzag theory is what's going on there.
The way that I see it, the way that I'm looking at this game for the side, I can't take the Clippers. Kawhi was not very good in Game 5. You expect him to bounce back. Paul George has actually been arguably the most reliable player game in, game out in the series for the Clippers, which I find really, really fascinating. He hasn't been a superstar, but he's been putting up about 20-something around, 48% shooting, 49% shooting?
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's been better than Kawhi.
No, Kawhi has been phenomenal, but I'm saying Kawhi had an off game. Paul George really hasn't had an off game besides maybe Game 1.
No, he's been all right. He's been fine.
I'm saying, he's been holding the fort. Of course, Kawhi's the better player. I'm not making that argument, but you're looking at his numbers. Paul George putting in some work. Give him props for that after such an embarrassing showing last year. But you have Kawhi, who you're assuming probably won't go 7 for 20 again. You'll probably assume he'll do better, or 7 for 19 again, but whatever. Either way, Doncic. Do I need to say anything else?
Who can stop him, Scott?
He had 37 field goal attempts last game, and I can't be mad by that because he's the only player that you really trust with the ball in his hands in this entire team. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I don't know that, they're all professional basketball players. So
yes, but you're looking at the Mavericks, most guys
that
they have.
Who do I trust the most? That's an easy one.
I'm saying the drop off from 1 to 2 is seismic.
Well, he's averaged twice as many points as anybody else on the team, so it's hard not to make the argument that you want to put the ball in his hands.
Who's the second most? Hardaway?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Porzingis was supposed to be the second option. That has really not worked out. But you're looking at this matchup here. The Mavericks did end up going bigger. Clippers made some adjustments, pretty much stopped playing Zubac, and they were going pretty much 5 wings or a couple guards and some wings, and they killed Dallas. And then Dallas decided, bring in Boban. Let's go super twin towers here with Porzingis and with Boban, and it worked. Boban played about 20 minutes. He was a -9, so plus-minus not exactly, but I thought they actually did a pretty good job of getting the Clippers into foul trouble. They did a pretty good job of creating some open looks for other people. But it's mostly just trying to control the boards, which has been the issue for Dallas in this series since Porzingis is 7'3" and doesn't rebound.
It's just
the question is, can I lay points with the Clippers here? The answer is no. But if you had to ask what my favorite play in this game is, it's going to be the under. I mean, you're looking at the last couple of games. They've been relatively low scoring. You had the one massively high-scoring game in Game 2. Other than that, you've had a couple low-scoring games in there. I know you had 118 to 108 in Game 3, but the Mavericks also shot really, really well in the first quarter. The Clippers did for pretty much the entire game. They couldn't miss. But the last two games, 205, 187. Total in this game is 216.5. It's under a pass for me. You?
I want no part of the total. I will,
and I don't want a part on the side because
I'm shoving all my chips in the middle with the Dallas Mavericks.
I'll tell you what, I feel a lot better getting 2.5 than laying 2.5 because the Clippers.
That's what I'm saying.
We've seen them with their back up against the wall in previous years. I know they came back from 2-0 in this series. They are known to fold when things get a little bit too tough.
Yeah, they're dreadful. I went back and looked at their playoff performances, and they are not good.
It's a legacy of failure.
It's mostly first round losses with a couple of second round defeats in there. But when they get to the second round, they lose them in style. Usually after they've gotten out to a lead. Now, I went back as far as like some of the dominating Golden State teams, and a lot of times they squared off against them in the first round. So you get swept by Golden State and Steph and that cast of shooters, Klay Thompson and whatnot. I give you a pass for that, but they've had some horrible performances in the playoffs. Anything worse than last year, Scott, when they blew the 3-1 lead to Denver?
I think the blown 3-1 lead against Houston was worse.
You think that was worse?
They were up, 18 at home in Game 5 or Game 6?
You're the only human being that can remember that.
I have to remember it. That's the Josh Smith, Corey Brewer game.
I write down what I had for breakfast in case somebody asked me.
The entire fourth quarter, Josh Smith. You remember Josh Smith?
Of course not.
The Hawks guy who won the dunk contest a while back?
Sure. He's the top.
Arguably a career 28% three-point shooter. He went 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Torched him. I just remember because Harden was on the bench. They benched him. And the Rockets bench unit went on a 30-5 run or something. And they won the game. So, yeah, I think that one was worse. But it's a close second.
All right, very good. So you put us together, we've got two bets for you. We've got one total, we've got one side.
Wait, so why don't you have any thoughts on the total here? Don't you think the last two games being low scoring is relatively telling?
No.
Not at all?
I don't. I mean, it's you've had teams that were ice cold from the floor. I don't think you can in Game 4 you had Dallas that was just dreadful. And then last game you had Kawhi, who was dreadful. I think you're banking too much on that repeating when they're at full strength and they're playing the way that they should.
Well, you mentioned Kawhi being terrible. Doncic also at 42 points, so you can cancel that and say both them at 30.
Well, Doncic is he's averaging 30 plus. I mean, that's not.
I know, but I'm just saying 42 and Leonard goes for a 20. Usually they combine for around 60, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Well, why don't you want anything to do with the side?
Because if I was going to pick a side, it would have to be Dallas, but I just think the Clippers are the more talented team. They haven't played like it, but
that's kind of their deal.
That's the problem, is that I just despise this Clippers team. I just can't. I feel like no matter which side I pick, they're going to burn me. So I'm just not going to bother.
Look, Clippers are a little better. Dallas is at home. That makes it a coin flip for me.
The home court's meant nothing, so I can't.
It's a 5-game sample size too.
I know it's a 5-game sample size. Dallas should get out to a decent start. I like Dallas first quarter. If I was going to play Dallas there, I think that with the home crowd, they should get off to a good start. But for the full game, I really think it's a coin flip. So
yeah, give me the points. It's a coin flip.
Gun to my head, I'll take the points, but I do like the under.
All right, very good. As always, if you're looking for more information on this game or, other games, other sports, make sure you stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com. Deep dives and predictions into every game every single day. It is always free. And, of course, we appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck on all your plays. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money when you head back to the window. You guys have a great day. For me and Scott, we appreciate you watching. Hey, stay tuned. If you want to see even more of us, we'll be doing Today in Sports Betting MLB style right around the corner. So until then, we'll see you guys on the next video.